Ebru today on this election day 2012. Well, the presidential campaign has been marked by a flurry of negative campaign ads funded by outside groups. But how much of an impact will these ads have on the election outcome? Well, that remains to be seen. Joining us now to analyze some of these ads is media analyst Jackie Guzda, and always good to have you here on Ebru Today.
Oh, good to be here.
Well, let's talk about some of these ads. We've seen so many of them for the past 6 months. But what percentage of these ads actually have an impact and are actually negative?
Oh, negative. Almost all of them. On an average, about 85% for both Obama and Romney.
So 85%, you say?
About.
Okay. Let's take a look at a couple of them right
Sure.
now. We're going to start off with Romney.
The president began with an apology tour of going to various nations and criticizing America. I think they looked at that and saw weakness.
Obama's ruining the coal industry.
Policies that the current administration's got is attacking my livelihood.
And they're wanting to close these mines down. I got little ones at home, a wife that's needing me. And
we have 250 years of coal. Why wouldn't we use it?
Work requirements. Under Obama's plan, you wouldn't have to work and wouldn't have to train for a job. They just send you your welfare check. And welfare to work goes back to being plain old welfare. Mitt Romney will restore the work requirement because it works.
Now, when we look at those ads, it seems that there's a certain undercurrent of anger.
It gets me angry. And it gets me angry. It means that these ads are working because I went on here on this show and I debunked every one of those ads previously. Every fact-checking organization said, no, there was no apology tour. The war on coal was a war that had to do with electricity prices. That doesn't exist. And then finally, no, there is no workfare to welfare, lack of requirements there. I debunked each of those. Now, that's the point of these ads, Mia, is that what they're trying to do is create anger, and anger is a problem.
So, but he's been successful in doing that.
It's been very successful. I think this campaign's been run very well. I came on here the very first time during the campaign and said, look, they're branding the candidates. And to brand, what you do is say that your product, whether it's a presidential candidate or it's a pair of blue jeans, is the only solution to the problem.
All right, in one word, how would you sum up the Romney campaign?
Anger.
Okay.
Anger. It's making us angry, and he's going to solve the problem.
Okay, now let's take a look at some of the other ads. President Obama. Let's take a look.
I do not think Mitt Romney realizes what he's done to anyone.
Just days later, all three shifts were told to assemble in the warehouse. A group of people walked out on that stage and told us that the plant is now closed and all of you are fired.
All right, now I don't get anger with this. I kind of feel more of that fear.
I am so afraid. I am so afraid that Mitt Romney is going to come in and he's going to take away my livelihood. I'm going to dig my own grave, etc. That's one of the tactics. The big tactic used in both campaigns has been to create anger in the electorate. The second biggest tactic has been what you've just seen, fear.
Fear. Okay. Well, is the amount raised, and let's talk about the amount that each campaign has raised. How much did each campaign raise, and does it really have an impact as to who wins?
It has the biggest impact of all. First of all, the ads alone, they've spent about $1 billion.
This was the most expensive race so far in history.
Ever. Now, to answer your question about does it really matter, let's look at history. If you look at who has won the presidential election, going all the way back, it's always, except for two exceptions, always the candidate who has raised the most amount of money. Reagan did it in 1980. He made less money, but he still won, and Clinton in 96. But money talks.
All right, well, let's talk about some of where that big money came from, and what are the ramifications, rather, of some of these donations and donors?
Well, ever since Citizens United was passed in 2010, what's happening is that free speech is equated with the amount of money that someone can give. You should be able to give whatever you want. That is part of our freedom of speech. Now, it ruins our democracy. What's happening now is that whoever donates the most amount of money, it could be to the campaign, it could be to the outside groups, is got the louder voice. And the other dark side about this is that after their person is elected, they're going to call in those favors.
All right, now we just have one quick question.
Yeah.
Does Ralph Nader he's got a pretty clever way to answer to this big money sponsorship.
Yeah,
What
I think
is that?
it's extremely clever. You know how race car drivers on their uniforms, they wear their sponsors, it could be Exxon, it could be BP, whatever. He's saying that politicians should do the same thing.
That would be something.
Yeah, who they are representing, the big money.
Wow, that would be pretty interesting to see
Yeah.
that in the next presidential campaign. Well, Jackie Guzda, very, very interesting stuff. Very exciting night tonight for all of us.
Yeah,
Thank
sure
you
is.
for being here
Thank
on
you,
Ebru
Mia.
today.